Well, welcome everyone. This is John Eckhardt from Chicago, Illinois, and we're going to talk about some things concerning Clubhouse. And recently we had an issue on Clubhouse and it went viral. And so because of the what happened as a result of what took place on Clubhouse, I got with some of my brethren just to receive some counsel as to how I should proceed. And so I'm going to have one of my trusted counselors. Many of you know him. I've known him for over 30 years. He's been in ministry for over 45 years. So a well-seasoned man of God, a man of wisdom. He's seen so much. And Kevin Leal is going to share some things about at least our perspective of Clubhouse. And we're not here to bash Clubhouse. We love the platform, but we want to set some type of context of how we can navigate in this new social media platform to make sure that we're doing things properly. We're not seeing an eruption, at least concerning our room. We can't control what everyone else does in their room, but we do want to be able to have our space a place that is safe, a place that is full of integrity, a place that we have some type of rules in place. And so that's what we're going to discuss tonight. So thank you so much for tuning in. And I want my good friend, Kevin Leal, to come, and he's going to open it up, and we're going to go through a lot of different points. And I'll just collaborate with him. And I may interject as he's talking about the things we're going to talk about today. So I want you to welcome Kevin Leal, and I want him to begin to share.
All right, it's good to see you again. And my name is Kevin Leal. I'm from Pensacola, Florida. I've been an elder in a local church for almost 30 years. And I've known John Eckhardt for 30 years. And so I saw a little bit about the stuff that was on Clubhouse, and I prayed about it. And I'm not here to defend John. I'm here to set some kind of guidelines for this new social media. Number one, you cannot leave the voice of confusion unanswered. I'm going to say it again. You cannot leave the voice of confusion unanswered. And so we're addressing this issue because there was some confusion. And I want to set some statements here at the very beginning. Number one, Clubhouse is a new social media platform. Hasn't been open that long. But number one, Clubhouse has no culture. There's no culture. Number two, Clubhouse has no government. There is no government for ministry. It's kind of like the Wild Wild West with no sheriff. Everybody comes on, everybody's got an opinion. And so in John's room, he's got to come up with something that's a model. It doesn't have to be anybody else's model, but it's got to be John's model. And let me give you a problem that needs to be addressed in all these social media, but especially Clubhouse, because of the way you could just come in, come out, come in, come out, get a microphone, be elevated to a place you're going to speak. 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 12 down to verse 16 says this. Paul talking, he says, we dare not class ourselves or compare ourselves with those who commend themselves, but they, measuring themselves by themselves, comparing themselves among themselves, are not wise. We, however, will not boast beyond measure, but within the limits of the sphere which God has appointed us, a sphere which especially includes you. For we are not overextending ourselves as though our authority did not extend to you, for it was to you we came with the gospel of Christ, not boasting of things beyond measure, that is other men's labors, having hope that as your faith is increased, we shall be greatly enlarged by you in our sphere, to preach the gospel in the regions beyond you, and not boast in another man's sphere of accomplishment. So we see very clearly that Paul is saying, listen, everybody's got a sphere. Everybody's got a measure of rule. Everybody's got a place of God-given authority. And he says, we don't want to go into your measure of rule, into your measure or your sphere of authority. Now, as I say this stuff, it's because John is going to have to set some guidelines inside of his clubhouse for his house, for his room. And we just want to let people know that. So when they come in the room, it's not like we don't know what's going on. You can know what's going on. That's why he's doing it. Number one, you've got to have government. Nothing God does does he do without government. There has to be a governor and government. Number two, in this passage of scripture, it says you class yourself or you rank yourself. You class yourself or you rank yourself. You may be a bishop of church XYZ of some African denomination or European denomination, American denomination, but when you come into Clubhouse, you don't have positional authority. All you have is influential authority by what you say. Now, to the people that know you, yeah, you may carry some positional authority, but when you're inside of a house, the way this format works, there is no positional authority. Number two, are you comparing yourself by yourself when you come into these rooms? You know, are you comparing yourself to what you've done in the past? This format is not quite like that. Are you measuring yourself by the group you have? You came out of a group and you bring your positional authority into this room. You cannot use your positional authority in these rooms unless it's a room just for your followers. These people may not be under your authority. So if you try to act like I have authority over you, that would be wrong. And Paul says you overextend your sphere. In other words, you go beyond your measure. Now, here's the thing. Every group of ministry must have some kind of wineskin. Wine must have a wineskin. Ministry must have a wineskin. And like Luke said, he says you cannot put new wine in an old wineskin. In a really straightforward way, Clubhouse is a type of a wineskin, and you've got to do something to clarify this wineskin. That's why we're having this Zoom. All right. Now I'm going to take you over to Acts chapter 17. It's when Paul went to Mars Hill or the Acropolis. Now, Acts chapter 17, verse 16. Now, while Paul waited for them in Athens, his spirit was provoked within him when he saw that the city was given over to idols. Therefore, now watch, Paul is reasoning in the synagogue. He's inside of a governmental situation with Jews and Gentile worshipers who came to the synagogue who knew his governmental authority there. He had a sphere inside the synagogue because he was a rabbi. And in the marketplace, they went to the marketplace to do evangelism daily as those happen to be there. Now, verse 18, he gets shifted to a new platform. Then certain Epicurean and Stoic philosophers entertained him and said, what did this babbler have to say? Others said, he seems to proclaim a foreign God because he preaches them Jesus and the resurrection. And they took him and brought him to the Areopagus and said, may we know this new doctrine which you speak. Now, these are two philosophers. Now, here's why I want to say this. We don't know who is coming in these rooms. Are they philosophers? Are they legit? Are they legitimate parts of a ministry? You got an open forum, which is how this thing is designed. So when you go to Clubhouse, it's kind of like you're at Mars Hill. You're going to something that's an open forum. And so when you go to open forum, things change. Acts 17, verse 20. For you are bringing some strange things to our ears. Therefore, we want to know what these things mean. For all the Athenians and foreigners who were there spent time in nothing else but to either tell or hear something new. Sounds like Clubhouse. To tell or hear something new. Then Paul stood in the midst of the Areopagus and said, men of Athens, I perceive that in all things you are very religious. For as passing through and considering the object of your worship, I found an altar of the inscription of the unknown God. Therefore, the one whom you worship without knowing him, I proclaim to you. So in the rest of the chapter, Paul starts talking about this unknown God. And he even quotes one of their philosophers, in him we move, in him we have our being. So he's trying to connect with them. Now, why am I saying this? As I was talking to John the last couple of days, we were talking about this episode. I said, you've got to put something of a model in place in your rooms so that when people come in your rooms, there's a way to measure them. So it takes discretion, it takes discernment, and it takes wisdom of administration in these rooms, because you're going to have all kind of people coming in these rooms. Now, remember this, there is no positional authority in a Clubhouse room if it's open to everybody. John Eckhardt covers some people. He's an apostle to some people, but for many people, he's an unknown voice, never heard of him before. So basically what John's going to talk about, you cannot bring your positional authority into a Clubhouse. You can only bring influential authority based on your wisdom, your revelation to the people who don't know you. Now, as fathers, as mothers, we can always act fatherly or motherly, but that doesn't mean that person is your son or your daughter. So just because you have somebody saying that's my father, to the other people, they don't know that. So you cannot be a positional father in Clubhouse to the people who don't know you. You can't do that. You cannot be a governmental voice inside of a Clubhouse acropolis because it's not set. It's like Mars Hill. Your positional authority does not have a position in Clubhouse unless the people have a relationship with you. So basically what I told John to do is create some kind of a model, how he wants to run his house, because what he was trying to do in this episode, he was trying to put government into the house and he got some pushback. He was trying to govern his room and he got some pushback. And I would just say, your room, your rules. If it's your room, it's your rules. This is an opinion forum, not a governmental context. So if you try to use government on somebody that you just came into the room and try to be a governmental voice, not going to work. Now, why is that important? This is kind of like trying to go on Oprah and try to have a governmental discussion with church leaders. It's not designed for that. So you should not try to establish apostolic doctrine on a daytime talk show, which is kind of what was happening in this situation. People tried to exert their influence over John, and they have no influence. You know, he made a comment, who made you the bishop of Clubhouse, which is, who gave you the authority to establish government in this room? So I think one of the things we got to learn to discern in Clubhouse, what Jesus said, do not cast your pearls to the pigs. There's going to be pigs that are going to come on Clubhouse. They're going to come. I was watching some of the people's profiles in some of these places. A lot of them are coming from a very unscriptural, unbiblical, immoral place. Their sexuality issues, their governmental issues, their rebellion issues, but they can still come on Clubhouse. And so, John, go ahead and say what you want to say about how you want to govern things, or just what you're formatting.
Well, one of the things I want to do is I am very strong on integrity, especially people that are coming up to speak. Even though we can have people coming up to speak that we're praying for or ministering to, when it comes to moderators and speakers, I am very strong on the subject of integrity. And I never want to put someone on my platform that lacks integrity, that has issues, a bad name, because it's a representation of me. And I don't want to expose people who are coming on to something that is not correct, something that is not right. Excuse me. So I'm very careful of the people that I bring on. I have quite a number of sons and daughters in ministries. I've been in relationship for many years. I know their character. I know their culture. I know their lifestyle. And so they're the ones that will be up. And one of the problems I'm having is that a lot of people want to come up and say something. And again, we're not stopping that. People can come up and make comments, especially when we ask people, what do you think? Or when we're praying for people and ministering to people. But sometimes, of course, you don't know what someone is going to say because you don't know the person that is coming up. So we have to govern it as far as if a person comes up and they begin to say something that is off, something that is not correct, then we can either mute their mic or send them back to the audience. But we're very careful about making sure that people, and we're merciful, we're not dogmatic with this. We want to give people a space and to express themselves. So we're not dogmatic or say that everyone has to be perfect or exactly agree the way I agree. We can have differences, but we're very careful as to the people we're bringing up. And one of the issues I have is that I know a lot of people. I know a lot of ministers. I know people for over 40 years of ministry. And so I know many of them, I know their character. I know their reputation. And therefore, when they come into the room, I probably would not bring them up, because even though the people may not know their reputation or their character, I do. And I don't want people to be exposed or begin to follow individuals that have character that is not what I consider to be right, because I don't want people to be taken advantage of and abused by just following anyone. And then I believe there are people that will come on a platform just to get a following, because there's a great exposure, because I do have quite a number of people in my room because of my influence. And so I don't want people to take advantage of that just to be seen, or just to get, it's like in many of the rooms, they're talking about people coming up and the first thing they do is they advertise their product and tell people you can follow me here and buy my product. And it's not really something, you're using someone else's platform for your benefit. So those are some of the things that I am concerned about. And those are some of the things that I want to govern.
John, this is a brand new social media platform. And so, you got to kind of figure out how you're going to use it, how everything is going to work out. But, I think that when people know your heart, that you don't want to shut down legitimate conversations. But I know you don't want to let mess in people's lives, because you've cast demons out of people. You've dealt with people who have been hurt by church and abuse and sexual issue by ministers, because people come to you because they want deliverance. And I was talking to Tor Solomon this afternoon. He said he has ministered to some of the women that were on some of these situations. They were the victims. And so he knew the situation. So I understand that you are a guardian. Your job is to guard this place that God gave you. And I don't think you are doing anything. I think you're being a father. Fathers guard their children. And I think that is totally legitimate.
Exactly. I really have a heart for people. I love people. Being in deliverance, I've dealt with so many situations of people whose lives have been devastated. And I know a lot. I don't run around telling it and publicizing it to disparage anyone, but I'm very careful that people who have been hurt, abused, that they're guarded and protected, especially on my platform. I never want someone to say, I came to your ministry or came to your platform and I was hurt, devastated, taken advantage of by you or by your leadership. I want people to come into a safe place where, regardless of where they've come from, they feel safe, they feel secure, they feel protected. They know that they're not going to get something crazy and something weird, even when it comes to instruction or even what we're sharing on the platform, that is solid, that is there to bless their lives and to encourage them and build them up, not to tear them down and rebuke them. And again, that's not my governmental authority, because I'm not over everyone that comes in my particular room. So I'm not there to try to rebuke people, correct people, set people straight. I'm really there to teach, to bless, to encourage, to edify, to build up. So that's really my heart. And I'm really, really careful that people don't get hurt or get wounded by individuals that may end up wounding them, because many of them have come out of some real terrible situations.
Yeah, well, you've got an anointing to heal church. I know that for many years, this has been one of your big issues, is to do deliverance inside of churches. And people come with all kinds of stories, but also they have to realize that if they're going to come in your room, you're not going to stop being a governmental father. And so if somebody tried to take advantage of the space, or an opportunist spirit comes, or a demonic spirit, they got to expect that John Eckhardt or the people that he has moderators are going to call it out and deal with it. Say, hey, so we're not going to allow that right here, because there's all kind of things that are going to try to enter into the work of the Lord. And so I want to commend you. I mean, be a father. I mean, you push back on something that, quite frankly, needed to be pushed back on. And to be a speaker on anybody's room is a privilege. You don't earn that. They say, come up here. And so if you don't want somebody having a microphone on your platform, that is your prerogative. And they shouldn't feel like, because there's people that wouldn't let you on there. I know some people that we have mutual friends. If John was in the room, they wouldn't have John come into the platform, because you got different views on something. They said, okay, I like John, but I don't want to be a speaker here. So, I think that we need to set this thing straight and just say, listen, if you come in my room, my rules. If you don't want to abide by my rules and what I'm modeling, there's plenty of other places you can go, but if you come into my room, you get my rules. Is that kind of a fair assessment?
Yes, and remember, we're very prophetic. We operate, because we operate
Yes.
in the deliverance and the prophetic. You know, we're very discerning when something is off or something is wrong, if it doesn't set well with us. And so we're very sensitive in those areas. And so people need to realize that we're not just, regular individuals just sitting in a room. We're very prophetic. We teach on the prophetic. We teach on discernment. We're very sensitive to spirits behind people, motivating people. And again, we're not dogmatic. We're not here to just slam everybody and shut everyone down. When we feel there's something not right, and something that is off, or something that can bring damage to people, then we deal with it. Because again, we don't want the people that are trusting my name and trusting my room, when they see my
Yes.
name, they
Yes.
trust my name and say, I can go here and I know that I'm going to get something that is legitimate, something that is full of encouragement, blessing, something that is accurate. And so that's my concern. I don't want people to see my name, come into a room and end up, seeing some mess. That's not what I want, and some confusion in the room. So we really want to govern it and make sure that it's not messy, that it again, because as you said, it's the wild, wild west right
It is the
now.
Wild Wild West.
And then
It's the,
everybody is doing everything on there. And I don't mind that, because it's a public forum. So you have all kind of rooms and all kind of people coming on. And I have no problem with that. But if it's the wild, wild west and there's no sheriff to really govern these rooms, then you've got to govern your own room and govern your own space and make sure that it is protected, it is governed properly, and it is safe.
well, John, I know the last thing you want to have happen is next year we're casting a demon out and we say, how did you get in? I got in on Clubhouse, John Eckhart's room in Clubhouse. No, we don't want none of that mess. That we casting demons out. We're not letting demons in on our Clubhouse.
I agree. I agree 100%. People already have enough issues, enough problems. They don't need to come to another social media platform and encounter some more problems and some more confusion. But it is what it is. It's a new platform. And so some people would say, well, it's too much on there. I'm not going on there because it's confusion in that room or confusion in that room. And we can't govern other people's rooms, but we can govern our room and make our room a safe place for people to come, so that they can be blessed. And we don't want people to turn away from the platform because there may be other things going on that they feel is not godly. And they just throw the whole thing out saying, Clubhouse is a mess. I'm not going on there. I believe there are safe places to go, not just in the church, but even in secular areas, business rooms, and different people. You have people that are, kind, considerate, they're business-like, they know how to speak to people, they give good information. So that's what we want to develop, at least in the room that I oversee.
Yeah, we don't want to throw the social media platform out. We just want to govern it, which is what God expects everybody to do. And just because you have a room, there's going to be people we know are going to have envy issues, jealousy issues, ministry pride issues, self-exaltation issues. But we can't let those issues control the rooms. So if you don't govern it, it won't be governed. Now, I want to encourage you, if you know people who have heard about this conversation and that John had, please send this video to them so we can establish this thing, because God wants to use this media, because there's millions of people who have never heard the gospel, or they've never heard about the apostolic or the prophetic, never seen a prophecy. And these are great rooms to do ministry. But, like anything else, the devil got in the Garden of Eden. And so the devil tried to get in Clubhouse. And our job is to govern Clubhouse so that we keep the devil out. So any final words, John?
Well, no, I want to thank you for some of the points you made, that, Clubhouse has no culture. It has no one governing the entire thing, except for maybe some of the rules and regulations that if you get reported, that you can get kicked out. But, anyone can start a room. Anyone can open up and start a discussion. And sometimes discussions can get heated. There can be agreements and disagreements, which I don't even have a problem with, because I believe that good dialogue is important. And so I want people to know, even if there's discussion in a room between moderators and the moderators even disagree, don't panic. Don't say this is a mess, because I believe that it should be a place where there's an exchange of ideas, and that different positions can be taught and expressed, because we need to be stretched. We need to learn new things. So I don't panic unless it becomes rude or offensive. I don't panic because they're different, opinions, different ways of saying things, even disagreement. I know that sometimes people disagree, and it's a forum that's really designed for interaction, for chatting. Right. It's really like a chat room for chatting and different ways of saying things and discussing things. And so I would encourage people, don't get frustrated, don't give up. If you do see something in a room that you don't agree with, just leave the room and come back in another room and find something different. You're not obligated to stay in a room. You're not obligated to watch what's going on. You're free to leave, you're free to go, and you're free to enjoy. You're free to say, no, this is not ministering to me. I want something else. So exercise your liberty and your freedom. At the same time, when you come into a room, know that there's certain rules. If you're going to participate, if you're going to raise your hand, if you're going to be called up to the platform, that is very important that you listen to the direction of the moderator. And if he says, okay, come up and do this, don't come up and do your own thing. If he says, if you have any questions, come up. Don't come up and start preaching. Ask the question. If you have a testimony, give your testimony. If you need prayer, tell us what you need prayer for. If you need prophetic ministry, let us know you want prophetic ministry, and just really follow the guidelines of what the moderator is asking you. Because sometimes it feels like, Kevin, that a moderator can say, okay, we want you to come up and do this. It's like it goes right over the heads of people. It's like they missed the memo, and they come up and they're doing something the opposite. And then if they get cut off or their mic is cut off and they're moved back down, then they'll get offended. So I believe it's important to listen to the moderators, because it is their room and they have the right to govern it, the right to control it, the right to lead it the way they should. And I think that we need to respect that, and we need to honor that and submit to it.
One of the signs of immaturity, John, is that you think you have an opinion about everything. And when you think you have an opinion, or that your opinion is worth hearing about every subject, that's a sign you're immature. Because there's some things you're not an authority on, or you have no life experience, and you're just talking, just like these philosophers. You're just like yak, 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 yak. And, I think we ought to have as much revelation. You remember that old show, Showtime at the Apollo?
Yes.
They had a clown that would dance people off the stage.
The Sandman.
We need a digital Sandman to get these knuckleheads off where they start going the wrong way. Just play the music. You got to leave now. Dance them off the stage, John.
Exactly. And there's some places I go into, and people call me up, and I say, no, not now. I don't want to come up, because I don't have an opinion in that particular area. And I don't have to have an opinion. I don't have to have an opinion about everything. And so, there are places where people say, well, what's your opinion? I don't have one. This is not my area. This is not something that I want to comment on. I'm here to listen. I'm here to learn. I'm here to see what others are saying on the subject. So there's nothing wrong with not having an opinion and not having to come up, and just sitting down and relaxing and listening and receiving from what is going on in the room.
Well, I tell you, one thing I've learned in my few days on Clubhouse is the massive ignorance in the body of Christ. My God. I mean, they don't read their Bible. Their perceptions are demented. And so I've learned a lot about what not to do or how to minister to people, because the more people talk, you realize, my God, these people, they don't have a revelation on this stuff. And so, when I was a young kid, there were some old black mothers in my neighborhood. They say, my God, that child has no home training. He just has no home training. And there's people that get on this platform that I had the same thing. My God, they have no home training at all. They don't know government. They don't know authority. They don't have any protocol where they said, this is the wrong time to say something. So I agree with you, John, but you are the governor in your room.
I agree 100%. And I want to thank you for even coming on and doing this presentation. For those who may be watching me on Clubhouse and will come here and just get some idea of what we're talking about. I believe it's an amazing medium.
Yes.
I believe it's an amazing platform. I believe there's a lot we can do with it, and we will do with it and touch a lot of people, but it needs to be done correctly, with integrity, with character, with governing, and excellence in the room. And I believe that's the way people will receive maximum benefit from the time that they spend on Clubhouse.
Well, God bless you. And it's good to have you here, John. And we'll see you on Clubhouse. God bless you,
All right,
brother.
same here with you, Kevin. I'm glad that you're on there, and we're doing a lot together on
Yes.
Clubhouse as well. So people, this is Kevin Leal. We've already done some amazing rooms where people were blessed, and we're going to be doing more in the days to come. So I want you to get to know Kevin Leal, even follow him on Clubhouse, and of course, be a part of when we do things together and with others. It's really amazing to be connected with him, and he's connected with me. So thank you, Kevin, for coming on.
Hey, John, I want to share one more thing about why Clubhouse is not the right medium, is that they will not let you record the conversations.
Yeah, that's why we had to bring people here.
Yeah, they won't let you record the conversations. And so we know that people hear, we know that people hear from their hurts. So if I give somebody a prophetic word that I know has got unresolved issues, how they hear that word is backwards. And on Clubhouse is my word against your word, because it's not recorded. And so there's a lot of things I will not do on Clubhouse, because I've had too much bad experience with people saying I said things prophetically where I've got the recording. I said, no, sir, you heard from yours, and send them the transcript. And they go, oh, I'm sorry. But on this medium, there is no recording. They won't let you record. And so there's some ministry for us to do the ministry. We're just opening ourselves up to libel. We're just opening ourselves up to an attack. And so sometimes people say, Kevin, when you give me a word, I says, not in this format, because I want to make sure it's recorded. You know, you remember the days where we would do prophecy, John, and everybody brought their little cassette player. Like, if you didn't have a cassette player, we're going to give you a prophetic word. Why? Because we didn't want you to take it backwards. We had to have a recording. That's for our safety and your edification. So that's another reason why this format is not good for some ministry. They don't record anything. Listen, I had a phone call this afternoon from somebody who said, Kevin, what happened? And it was 4 or 5 clubhouses ago, and he was hearing rumors. I said, there's no way that we could give you an accurate presentation, because they didn't record it. We can't re-see it. Even in sports, they do a playback tape. They say, okay, play the tape back. Oh, okay, the guy was out, the guy was in. No playback on this. So we got to protect our reputations. And there's some ministry, if you ask Kevin Leal for something, you will not get it because it's not recorded. You have to get me on a Zoom or something where I can get a copy of it, because I'm not going to put myself in jeopardy by giving a word that is not recorded. Every time I prophesy, my reputation on the line. Every time John prophesies or cast out a demon, his reputation on the line. So there's some ministry we should not do on Clubhouse because they don't record it. And that's just good governance. That's just being a good father, protecting what God gave you.
I agree 100%. And that's why we have people to come here, because if we would have done this in the room after the broadcast is over, it disappears. So we have people coming here to at least to hear it, where they can access it, and people who can access it indefinitely. That's why we wanted to bring people here to talk about this subject, because there is no recording in Clubhouse. I agree 100%.
Amen. Well, God bless you, John. We'll see you in Clubhouse in the next couple of days.
God bless you too, Kevin. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. And God bless all of those that have been watching.